What up, hustlers? Welcome back to another episode of Health Hustle Chronicles, where the grind meets growth in the world of healthcare. Of course, you know this ain't your typical podcast, and I appreciate you for always tapping in. I would encourage you to definitely like, comment, but more importantly, we share this with someone who's on that same hustle, same grind as you, or you know they're just starting that journey and they need just a little bit of inspiration, insight, and motivation to help keep them push forward. So let's get into it. So Today's a good topic. I mean, every topic is good in the world of hustle, but today we're going to be talking about why every setback is really a setup for your next move. Some of the things we're going to cover in this particular episode is redefining failure. That's going to be important to do. Identify what those lessons are that are hidden within those setbacks. Understanding resiliency, what that means to you and your hustle. How setbacks are pivotal moments for growth, because they really, really are. Then we want to turn those setbacks into setups for your success. So we'll touch on that. And then roadblocks, how roadblocks become your new blocks. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. Understanding how patience and timing plays a role in your success. And then lastly, we'll end it out with practical tips for navigating setbacks. So before we get too deep in this, let me go and hit you with that theme music. We got to get it going. From the Health Hustle Chronicles, where the grind meets growth in the world of healthcare. This ain't your typical podcast. I'm here to shine light on the talent that's out there hustling every day. Introduce you to coaches who can level up your game and break down exactly how you can climb the ladder in this industry. Whether you're just stepping in or already in the trenches, I'm going to give you the real deal on how to elevate beyond the road and claim what's yours. I'm talking about unlocking opportunities that seem hidden, finding leadership when it feels like no one's got your back, and building a roadmap to success even when the path ain't clear. From time management to battling self-doubt, lack of mentorship, to the struggle of getting noticed. I get it. I've been there. And I'm going to bring you that hustle mindset with every episode, so you can take that next step towards career growth and wealth. If you're ready to go beyond surviving and start thriving in healthcare, then this podcast is for you. It's time to hustle harder, grow smarter, and elevate together. Let's get it, hustlers. Let's get it, hustlers. I love that, man. For me, it sets the tone on what we're going to get into, why we're even here, why we're even out here hustling, who it's for. So today, once again, thank you for joining. We're going to be discussing why every setback is really a setup for your next move. One of the beginning topic is redefining failure, how really understanding it's not the end and it's a detour. We're going to explore how society, it really teaches us that failure is like the end of the road. Raise your hand if you've seen something, whether it was a post, it was a comment, maybe even on your local news, in your classroom, maybe at the college, and in your work site, where people just feel like, man, they failed one time and they think, the world is over. It's coming to an end. Listen, let me be the first one to tell you this. That's not the case. It's not the case at all. You should, in my opinion, you should embrace the idea of failing. You really, really should, because that's where you gain your experience from, right? This is how we're going to turn those setbacks into your setups for our next move. Failure helps you with clarity. Failure helps you with understanding. Failure helps you with planning. Failure helps you with resiliency. Failure helps you with foresight. Failure helps you with mentorship. Failure just helps you become a better version of yourself, and then helps you redefine and refocus on that hustle that you're going after. So let me be the first one to tell you, if you've never heard it from anybody, go out there and go fail at something. Like real talk, go out there and go fail at something. If you haven't failed from anything, you probably haven't learned from anything. So squash all that you're hearing out in the news, out in your work site, out in your college, out at your job, that you're hearing on social media, where people make it look like failure's the end. Think about this. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about sports. I'm going to equate that into the situation today. You probably have your favorite team. I don't care what level, from peewee, all the way up to, professional sports. And oftentimes you see, like, maybe you got your favorite team. Of course, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. Listen, don't hate me for it, but I thought everybody was a Cowboy fan until recently. I didn't realize there were other, NFL teams out there, which there happen to be. And if for a lot of us Cowboy fans, and I'm gonna come back to the topic, but for a lot of us Cowboy fans, listen, it's a hard time right now being a Cowboy fan. But back to it. We've been through, as the Dallas Cowboys, we've been through several coaches over the last 20 years, right? And You've probably experienced this with your team. Maybe it's your NFL team, NHL team, your soccer team. They've experienced transitions at that leadership team. And what happens? That coach, they ended up going somewhere else, getting another gig. Whether it's a head coaching job, coordinator job, they've really repositioned their talents to allow them to continue to move forward, right? So they took that setback and then they turned it into an opportunity to create another opportunity for themselves. So they can do that in the professional world, right? Why can't you do that? I'm just saying, like, for real, why can't you do that? And this isn't every day. Like, okay, I've done this firsthand. I left one company and I go to another company. And then when I'm with that other company, what I want to do is I want to reach back to the people that I've worked with before that I'm comfortable with, right? And so I'll give them a call and say, hey, listen, I'm over here. I have this opportunity for you. I would love for you to come join me over here. And generally speaking, you're able to get those people because you built that relationship with them, right? What happened? I left one company and a lot of people think, oh man, Patrick's no longer here anymore. Maybe, I got fired from that job. That's happened before. If it happened to you, I would encourage it. Oh, I wouldn't say I'd encourage you to get fired, but I would like you to understand the experience and how resiliency positions you to be able to have growth and move forward with other opportunities. Oftentimes it creates opportunities for you. Sometimes you got to leave a job to elevate beyond the role. True story. I mean, you have to sometimes. This is not for everybody. So I don't want you to come into this podcast and get that Patrick said, I need to be fired in order to grow. That's not the case. I'm saying there's opportunities to experience and learn new things and grow from things after things have actually happened to you. So examples, I mean, these are just examples I'm giving. Your coach has been turned over. You've worked for a different boss. Maybe you got fired, you became the boss, and then you reached back to help somebody else to join your team, right? And what you learn from that is, I need to surround myself with other people who think like me, who have a vision like me, who have my best interests at hand, and also people who can help me navigate the rough waters when I kind of get lost during that path. That's what failure can do for you. Failure can give you that clarity. Here's some other things you need to think. There's so many hidden things within a setback. So setbacks, here I got it on here, what I read. Setbacks carry valuable lessons that can help you sharpen your skills, focus on your goals, build resiliency. I put on here, I want to talk about what you can learn from this rather than. So a lot of us, we have a victim mindset. And I'm not going to blame you for it. Some of this is cultural. Some of this is upbringing. Some of this is for whatever reason, you got a victim mindset. And in that victim mindset, you always question why things happen to you. We'll pause there for a minute. I'm going to take a sip on this and see if that's you. And this is water, like always. I got to stay hydrated. It's important for the skin. I got to keep the skin looking good, man. Come on, that's important for the skin, so I got to drink my water. But there's a lot of us out there, we question, why did it happen to me? And then we have this victim mindset, as opposed to saying, well, what can I do differently? How can I grow from this? So this is what happens. And you probably have people in your life like this. They get fired from their job. Their hours got cut. Their phone got cut off. They're being evicted, from their apartments. They're behind on their car bills. I mean, and all these may be you. I'm not judging you. All these things I share with you, I've been there, done that before. Okay? Everything, right? It's all happened to me before. Now, obviously I've grown past that, but that's where there's lessons and setbacks, right? So when you have that victim mentality, it prevents you from rising or growing beyond it. Instead, your victim mentality, you're asking yourself, why me? It keeps you grounded at a level that you can't move past from because your mind won't open up past that level. So this is where you need to have a little bit of clarity and understanding that this didn't happen to you. This happened for you. I'll pause there. It didn't happen to you. It happened for you. Because that's a growth opportunity. That's a growth moment. In fact, when people have victim mindsets, this is what happens. You'll go to work and your boss asks you to do something. And soon as your boss asks you to do something, you walk back, you start sharing with your coworker. You'll be like, I can't believe Patrick asked me to do this. Victim mindset. He asked me to do it. He could have asked Eric. He could have asked Jonathan. He could have asked all these other different people, but he asked me to do this. Like, why? Victim mindset. Have you ever considered, truly considered that you were asked to do something because people see something in you, right? That maybe you didn't see in yourself, or they asked you to do something because they felt like this was a learning moment for you to experience and learn something different than what you've been doing, right? To put you in an uncomfortable situation so you can learn from it. Victim mindset really focuses on, well, why me versus, that growth mindset is going to say, man, I'm blessed because it was me, because now there's an opportunity for me to learn and grow beyond that. So same thing with we're talking about those lessons in setbacks. There's tons of lessons in setbacks, right? But in order to receive a lesson, you can't question the lesson. Yeah, you can question, but I'm saying don't live in the question. And what I mean by living in the question, you're dwelling on it so long that it impacts you negatively, both mentally, probably physically, but with action. We need to have action in every new moment if we're pushing forward. So let's go past why me to, hey, I'm thankful it was me. And this is what I learned from the situation, right? The other thing too is resiliency, So I wrote this one down. Resilience, the real measure of success. It really, really is. So true success, it isn't about how high you climb, but it's how well you bounce back after you hit the ground. Here's the problem though, that hit, it can hurt. Like it can really, really hurt. So you've climbed up a level and then you fell and you felt like you hit ground. What did you learn from that? I think one is you're going to open up your eyes and you're going to look around and you're going to be like, okay, that happened. Two, you're going to be like in shock. You're going to be like, man, that actually happened to me. Three, at some point, you're going to be like, okay, you know what? I'm still alive. Even though I fell so far, I'm still alive. And then four, after you take some time to really process what really happened to you, why that setback actually took place, now you start to develop some clarity. It allows your brain to really start to process what went right, what went wrong, and then you start creating plans for yourself. It forces you. Resiliency toughens up your skin, it strengthens your mind, but it also provides some clarity so you can grow past what actually went down, right? So resiliency is so important. It allows you for your muscles to grow. Athletes, we go out here, put it like this. Maybe you've been around someone, maybe you played the sports before. Maybe you have your kids that play sports. Maybe you was an athlete in high school. And I don't know how many of us, but raise your hand, tap in, let me know if you've ever played a sport. You just jump right into it and you was playing it at a professional level. I'll pause there. I'll take my sip. You first playing a sport, you jump right into it and you played at a professional level. Oh, it didn't happen? Somebody drop a comment in it? It didn't happen. Okay. So why didn't it happen? It's because you didn't understand all the levers that were involved in playing that sport. Exactly where you needed to be, how fast you needed to be there, what route you needed to run, what comes next after the play. How do you breathe while playing this particular sport, right? How do you recover? What do the injuries look like? Things like this. All that comes associated with that particular sport. That's the same thing with your career. Same thing. So when you have that, again, I'm going back, when you have that victim mindset, you're thinking, why did it happen to me? But reality, it happens to everybody, not just you. You're just so focused that it's happening to you in that particular moment that you're allowing it to stop you from moving forward. Resiliency come in because we learn from those situations each and every time. We strengthen up our muscles to understand what play, what block I need to make to move past that situation. And then in your comfort zones, when you get out of your comfort zone, you truly grow. Don't let me sit here and talk to you and be the first one who's ever told you you need to get outside your comfort zone. In fact, I'm probably the one that reinforcing the message for you. If you haven't gotten outside of your comfort zone, there's a great chance you're not going to grow past where you are right now. I'll leave that. Think about it. Don't question, it's okay, maybe your boss is picking on you. Don't question why someone asks you to do something. Do it, learn from it, and then ask yourself, why did they ask me to do that after you've done it? Now, you can get some repeat offenders where your boss is just truly an a-hole, right? And they're asking you to do some crap just because maybe they truly didn't like you. But in most cases, most people are good people. I'm not saying all, most people are good people. But if we're climbing that ladder, we're doing something different, we're making these moves in our lives, people ask you to do stuff because one, delegation is a great leadership trait, and you should learn how to delegate so other people can do stuff for you, take things off your plate. Two, it positions your team to grow, right, from challenges and opportunities. And then three, for you, it positions you to be the best version of yourself and really exceed in doing whatever you're asked to do. So that can be a separator between you and your peers as well. Setups are pivotal moments for growth. It's in the struggle that you develop new skills, you find new passions, or discover different ways to approach a goal. Think about this right here. It's in the struggle that you develop new skills, find new passions, or discover different ways to approach a goal. Tap in, let me know what's happened to you. How did the struggle develop your skills? I remember early on, I was trying to grow my career as a young professional. So I joined this group. And in this group, you had to take several rounds of interviews to actually get entrance into the group. And the first time I went through this passive joining this group, I took the several interviews and I did not get into the group. So this was round one. I did not get into the group. The second time I actually went through these panel of interviews, and this was a leadership group, okay? I was trying to learn how to become a better version of myself, be a better leader, right? The second time I went through all these group of interviews, I actually got in. And I got in because I learned from the first round. I had experience. I knew some of the questions. I knew how to operate. I knew how to make eye contact. I knew how to sit up straight. I knew exactly the speed and momentum of which I should answer questions. I knew how much detail I should provide. I knew how to create examples that they were looking for that's going to help them gain insight into the message that I was trying to carry, right? But the first time I didn't make it. I didn't make it the first time. I didn't get in at all. But the second time when I got in, I was happy that I got in. But here's a problem. I got some feedback. We all love feedback, right? Some of us out there love feedback, and that's great. Sidebar. I did a poll on LinkedIn and I asked if feedback was a privilege. And in my opinion, I believe feedback is, because the minute that somebody stops giving you feedback, a couple of things happen. Either they stop believing in you and they've moved on past you, or they have no confidence in you and they're getting ready to get rid of you. Like, you're not going to be there anymore. So you should value getting feedback from anybody, right? Even if the feedback isn't warranted, try to find a silver lining in the feedback you're getting. But back to, this particular place. So this is my second time doing these round of interviews. I didn't get in the first time. The second go around, I actually got in. And then towards the end of it, they give you feedback of what went right and then areas that you can improve in. And then one of the areas that they said that I can improve in was, they said I was a little too jovial. So I'm a jokester. I like to laugh. I like to joke. I've always been, that kind of class clown in high school or whatnot. And they told me I was a little bit too jovial. And in my head, I was thinking, what are you talking about? Like I'm me. I'm going to be myself. I'm not going to change for anybody else. Like, I am that laughing guy. It wasn't until later, and I'm talking about years later, that I actually learned from being too jovial. Okay. So the market and the climate and the corporate world has been changing, right? And as we transition from he and her to them and they, which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that at all, but as we transition, that lets you know that the economy, not the economy, but the world, the way we talk to people, the way we view people, that's all has changed, right? And so you want to respect people, right? Being jovial one day led me to, this was after, and this was, man, I had great success too. This was after I had great success in the corporate world with the technology company, sold a technology company for multi-millions of dollars back at the end of 2018, beginning of 2019, right? And so we fast forward, we all know what happened in March of 2020, right? The pandemic hit. So here I am, we sold that company. My position ended up being eliminated from that tech company, only because generally speaking, what happens is they move people into, after a massive exit happens or transition takes place, they generally like to move their own team in, and that team can really buy into their culture and focus on the way they want to accomplish things, right? So my position ended up getting eliminated, which I had no fault, no gripe. We have already sold the company. I made my money. I was happy with the opportunities. I went to a smaller organization, and in this small organization, it was a similar role. I wouldn't say it was a startup, but they're in growth mode, and they were looking to really grow beyond where they were today, right? And I had the skill sets. I knew I can do it 100%. So was happy to be there. Smaller teams, more granular focus on the details, which was important to them. It was important to me. But we're speaking of jovial. I remember there was something that happened. I remember there was a stripper that had fallen from the pole in Dallas. And she went from here all the way to there, and she fell. And I made a joke to my team about what had happened. Well, we know the climate that we're in. That got into HR. HR didn't agree. That's not part of the company policies, So being jovial in that situation actually got me canned. Like I got canned from a job because I was laughing at a situation, and I wasn't laughing at the person. I was just laughing at, like, how did something like that happen, right? But it happens. But that's where you take those setbacks and you turn them into growth opportunities. Because they gave me during going through that leadership round, they gave me that feedback. Man, it was probably like 10 years prior, but it wasn't until 10 years later where it actually bit me in the butt, right? And I learned from it. But this is where somebody was trying to pre-warn me that, hey, you can be who you are, and that's cool, but you also have to know the decisions that you're in. I share this with you, but you may make fun of me. You may draw some comments and be like, how could you ever do something like that? But, I was being myself. And in being myself in that situation, I actually learned from it. So, I'm putting these podcasts out here and I'm talking about various things, life experiences, because if this happened to me, there's an opportunity it can happen to you or somebody else. So if you can hit them to game, or if I can share some game with you to help you move past those situations that you don't have to experience that anymore, then we learn together, right? Or you learn from other people. So that's how you want to take setbacks and move them to growth. But you also want to take your setback and you want to turn it into your next setup, right? So the way you do this, you want to reflect, you want to reset, and then you want to re-strategize. Reflect. Take a few minutes, and actually it's going to be more than a few minutes, but you're going to take some time and reflect. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? How can I improve? You're going to start planning in those moments, but then you're also going to reset. That reset is getting clarity, mental clarity, getting your focus right. And then you're going to start re-strategizing, surrounding yourself with other people who can help you grow past that setback so you can truly have your setup. When we have setbacks, there's normally a handful of things, maybe a few things that actually took place for that setback to happen. No particular order, lack of preparation. Think about it. You had a setback probably because you wasn't prepared for that situation. The other reason you may have a setback, timing. The timing just wasn't right for you, right? Imagine trying to create a business right before the pandemic kicked off, and then the pandemic happened, especially if you were, a storefront business, right? Or a retail business where you relied on foot traffic to come into your shop. And then the pandemic happened, and we know the cities were closed down for weeks and months, and everyone had to do things differently. And then the other reason why setbacks happen is resources. You wasn't prepared financially. You didn't have the assistance that you needed from a service standpoint. I mean, it's just resources in general. You just wasn't fully prepared from a reset standpoint. There's a silver lining though. And that silver lining is setbacks generally reveal blind spots. Let's sip to that one. Think about it. It generally reveals blind spots. Okay. So nowadays we got these nice fancy cars. You swerve lanes. What happens? I go right. There's a little blinker on my side mirror that's letting me know, especially if you got a newer car, that's letting me know, hey, there's either pedestrian or a vehicle on my right hand side. Swerve left. Guess what? I got that same that blinker letting me know that there's a pedestrian or vehicle on my left hand side. Why did that come about? Well, we learned as a society that we've been hitting enough people from the left and from the right side, whether it's a pedestrian, a car, whatever it was. We've been hitting it so many times that there's this big uproar that we need to do something different. And what is that different thing? Well, that different thing happened to be the technology of putting those blinkers on the left and right hand side. We did that for a vehicle. What are you doing for your career? What are your blinkers? What's going to help you swerve left and right? What are those blinkers? It comes from those setbacks. Those setbacks are those blinkers. You've hit enough people. You've made enough mistakes. You've swerved enough left and right where now you decided, man, you know what? If only I had blinkers. Those blinkers for you are those setbacks. Those setbacks tell you that, hey, I need to go back. I need to now create a blinker system for me that's going to help me prevent me from hitting other people. And if you equate this to, the hustle that you're on, that setback, those blinkers is going to help you identify new opportunities and new ways forward from making those same mistakes before. I titled this next one, Roadblocks to New Roads. So I'm a little older than some of you guys. So I remember when there was MapQuest. MapQuest was on the scene. We used that to print out our navigation, where you're going to go. And you're going to downtown, and downtown for me happens to be 45 minutes an hour away. So you print out your directions and it helps you get there. Nowadays, we got these new fancy technology. There's all the different, I'm not going to name any because none of these people are branded, but we got all these different ways to navigate to and from wherever our destination is. And generally speaking, it's probably about 93, 95% effective. I mean, nowadays we can identify roadblocks before you even get to it. We're talking about miles up the road, 5-10 miles up the road. Hey, there's going to be a traffic jam. It lets you know about that. Hey, there's going to be a detour, so you need to go here, right? And that's cool. And in those roadblocks, what happens is we find new roads. It takes you on a new path. It truly takes you. So your navigation tells you, hey, detour up here and 3 miles, and we're going to take exit 36 so we can get around this traffic. And when you make that detour, if you're listening to your navigation, you come upon a whole new road that you've never seen before. And in that new road, it still got you to your destination, but it was a different route entirely. So what happened? We found out there was a roadblock that was a few miles up the road. Our navigation told us we needed the detour. We took that detour, and then in that detour, we found a new way forward. Anybody's ever moved to a new city? Yeah, drop some comments. Let me know what new city that you moved to. So you moved to a new city, and one of the challenges of moving to a new city is, how do I navigate the city? How do I move beyond the city, right? And oftentimes, the way you're going to move beyond that city is you got to navigate it. Like, you actually have to go out there and do it. Yeah, you can spend some time on a computer. You can spend some time on the phone trying to look for directions, and that's cool. But once you hit the roadblock, that's when the experience happens, right? That's when, okay, now I'm going to learn a new path. You move to a new city, and within weeks, guess what? I know 3 different ways to get to my house. You move to a new city, guess what? Within weeks, I know 2-3 different ways to get to my place of employment. You move to a different city, and guess what? Within 2 or 3 weeks, I know 2 or 3 different stores that I'm going to frequent, and I know how to get there. The roadblock is the new city. The roadblock is your thought process. The new path forward is the new route that you took. You ever took a new route, the navigation took you, and then you're like, wow, this is beautiful out here. These new homes that they built. Oh, this new shopping center, this new district that they built. Oh, there's a brand new school over here that'd be great for my little one to go to. That roadblock that just happened a few miles up provided you with a new road that you can go on to experience new things. That's just like the way you hustle. The way you hustle forward is you have to actually get on the road, one, right? And then once you're on the road, those roadblocks happen. And in those roadblocks, opportunities are created where you find a new path forward. There's a brand new road on the left-hand side. There's a brand new road on the right-hand side. I didn't even know if I make a U-turn right here and then make it right here, I can actually get to my destination. You found that because you hit a roadblock. Same thing with your hustle. Hit those roadblocks, and guess what? You may actually find a new way forward. The other one here, patience and timing. Timing is absolutely everything. Sometimes you're ready for success, but the situation or that opportunity, it isn't quite ready for you. I'll repeat that again. Sometimes you're ready for success, but the situation or the opportunity, it isn't ready for you. I remember when I was 19, probably a little bit younger than that. So let's just say when I was in high school, I remember in high school, and maybe this is you, we had this envision of what our careers look like. And I used to tell myself, man, by like 30, I want to be rich. I want to have, this big house. This is the car I'm going to be driving. Like, I want to get it early. Like, I want that money in my account because I'm not going to be out here hustling and grinding, right? Now, at 30, did I get rich? No, I didn't. No, it didn't happen. Does that mean I wasn't trying? No. Did that mean I didn't have a plan? No. It didn't happen because I wasn't ready. It didn't happen because I didn't have enough experience. It didn't happen because there was more for me to learn. It didn't happen because there was additional resources that I needed to have around me in order to position me to fully excel or embrace that opportunity. Many of us, we've looked at a famous person, whether it's an entrepreneur, an athlete, a movie star, whomever, right? Somebody that you admire, a singer, an artist, anyone who's in that profession around, you look at them, you're like, wow, I admire them. I wish I could do that, but only if I had their money. If only I had their money, I could do the same thing. Or you hear the stories of people hitting the lottery, right? And then what happens within, 7 to 10 years, they're broke again. Yeah, the situation happened to them. They gained that success, but they wasn't ready for it. And I'm not saying shy away from opportunities that you're not ready for. I'm just saying patience and timing is everything, because you can actually go from making $1,000 a week to $20,000 a week, and you're out there grinding, you're balling, you're hustling and doing all this stuff, but then you lose your money because you wasn't ready for that situation. So a lot of us will raise our hand and say, you know what, I would want to do that any day. That's great. But going all the way up here and then come all the way back and then climbing all the way back up again, that's a tough climb. We want to be strategic about it. So sometimes the universe allows you to know when you're ready for those opportunities. Those opportunities generally continue to present themselves when you continue your hustle and grind. So what I want to share with you is you definitely want to have patience, but timing is often everything. But timing can also be on you. Sometimes we face a little bit of setback and then we stop altogether doing what we were hustling for. And then you don't resume that until later. What I'm telling you is you keep doing what you're doing, but if the thing doesn't happen for you right then and there, it's okay. But I would encourage you to keep pushing forward, because you pushing forward, one, you have that resiliency, right? Two, you found a path forward and you understand that the timing didn't work for me right now, but I'm going to keep pushing forward. I'm going to keep hustling forward because I know it's going to help me get there. And then three, when now you develop experiences, you've built up your skin, your mind is a lot more sharpened. You understand those setbacks you faced before. You understand the resources that are required. Your checking and balancing is a lot better. Your network is a lot stronger than what it was before. You're a lot more prepared for when success happens. I equate it to social media. Some of us could post something and it blows up. And you are grateful that that particular post blowed up, but you wasn't able to capitalize on it. And what I mean by that is you wanted to have that fame, that recognition, that level of insight into whatever you were doing, but maybe you were building a business, or you were thinking that I was building a business and you put this post out there and it went viral, but your business wasn't ready for that virality for your business. You went viral, but it created no dollars and cents. Everybody remember when Snoop Dogg did the solo stove, and they're not a sponsor or whatnot, but they were all mad that his first marketing with them, it didn't equate as much demand as they thought it was going to be. So he went and did it twice. And then the second time, it was a whole lot better because he pointed out, hey, go buy one of these solo stoves, right? That's what happens when timing. So last topic here is practical tips for navigating setbacks. You need to have a recovery plan. And your recovery plan is where you allow yourself to break down what went wrong, what you're going to learn from it, and then adjusting for those next steps. I interviewed for when I transitioned out of the military, I interviewed for a sales role. I was super excited. And this is back in the day where jobs were still posted in the newspaper. So I'm kind of dating myself, but jobs were posted in the newspaper. It was posted in the newspaper. And I went and interviewed for the job, dressed. I looked great. I felt like I was prepared, and I didn't get the job. I actually lost out to another person that was there interviewing with me. I didn't get the job. And I was heartbroken because I felt like this was going to be a great opportunity for my career. I really wanted this position. I just didn't get the job. I felt like I was prepared. But what I learned from that is I wasn't prepared enough. So we're going to fast forward like 6 weeks, maybe 2 months later, and I'm back in the newspaper again. I hadn't found what I was looking for yet. So I'm still looking for employment, right? And that same company posted that same position again. So I'm thinking, wow, maybe I guess the person didn't work out. So I reapplied for the position. And for a second time, I got a second interview. And I went in there this time understanding where I felt short because I created a recovery plan. I sat down, I really broke down what went wrong, what I learned from this situation, and adjusted. So this next time I went back in there and interviewed for this position, man, I was sharper than sharp. I was like one of those like those knives, man, where it just cuts when you barely touch the tip. That boy was sharp. You would be proud of me. You really, really would. Man, I was ready to go. And I answered every single question. I had responses. I had situations. I had my successes. I was able to talk to the outcomes that I would be able to contribute to the organization. I was fully prepared and ready to go. Well, why was I prepared for that? I learned from the first time. The first time taught me where my shortcomings were. But two, I went back with my recovery plan, and your recovery plan can include talking to other people. It can include now going to get a mentor. It can include going to get a coach. It can include coursework. It can include additional education. It can include additional training. It can include whatever you want it to include. It's your recovery plan. But in that recovery plan is where you repurpose yourself and then you go and do it again. So my practical tip for you for navigating setbacks is take every setback as an opportunity to grow from it. Take every setback as an opportunity to grow from it. So that was today's topic, hustlers. Listen, I enjoyed this. I mean, for me, this is an opportunity to give back, share with you about what the hustle looks like. I definitely want to encourage you to continue to tap in, drop some comments as we come back and revisit topics like this. But more importantly, share this with other people that's on that hustle, that's grind, that's ready to get to that next level. So today, that wraps up this episode of Health Hustle Chronicles, where we don't just talk about the grind, we live it. And if you're ready to take your career to that next level, now it's the time to put in the work. Remember, elevation, it doesn't come easy, but it's all about staying hungry, staying focused, and hustling smarter. The knowledge is here. The tools, they're all yours. Now it's up to you to make those moves. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next drop. And if today's episode hit home, share it with somebody who else is on the grind. Together we rise. Until next time, stay hustling, stay learning. And remember, your next level, it's just one hustle away. Let's get it, hustlers.